PGA Nation, we are back, and we are back not only for the Tour Championship, but we are here for the King of the Draft Championship, the final matchup. And you know what? It worked out, couldn't have worked out any better, as we got two absolute legends facing off to be crowned King of the Draft here this week at the Tour Championship. It was an electric tournament up to this point. It was a ton of fun, but really two of the favorites, two that were pre-tournament favored to get here, are here at the end facing off to win the crown, the prize, the 4 figures of prize money, and the belt here at the King of the Draft Championship. Spencer, a lot of the credit and thanks goes to you. You did the legwork, and I remember the early days of putting this tournament together, the King of the Draft official Golf Madness tournament. It was a little bit slow getting everything together, but then it came together so nicely. And Spencer, really the credit goes to you. You did a great job staging this, putting this together, getting together the biggest names in the space to have this King of the Draft tournament. Spence, tell us how you did it, how we got to this point today, and what you look forward to again for next year when we do the King of the Draft tournament again.
Yeah, I'm excited to get this back up and running, and big thank you to LEVR for making this a reality and getting everything into motion. And as we say every show, Joel, check out LEVR if you haven't already. I think they're revolutionizing what the gambling space looks like, and check them out if you haven't yet. Look, we're going to have $1,500 on the line tonight. I've been shopping championship belts, and I found this 6-pound belt that we're going to engrave with the winner's name. We're going to have all the accolades on that for the victory of whoever pulls it off. And, it was a slow process, Joel. Like, when this idea came to mind, and like for me, when this happened, I wasn't anticipating my year to go the way that it had, to where I was going to be opening my own website and things were going to move in the direction that they did. And one of the very first things I thought of is, how do Joel and I turn King of the Draft into something that can bring the entire space together and really make something that's fun out there for everybody to listen to. And I have to say, every person that I reached out to, whether they accepted the invite or not, were extremely gracious throughout the process of it. There is no such thing as a bad finals of what we could have gotten from this, because we truly did have 36 of the best touts and handicappers and personalities in this space that you can find. But you talked about it, of the two that we have here with Derek and Byron. When I ran simulations before the tournament started and kind of looked at the draw, I've told Derek this before. I know he doesn't like hearing it, but he was the favorite. He was the number 1 seed, but the numbers, regardless of what it was, thought he was the most likely person to win. And Byron, who I believe I told you, Byron, your win equity was even higher than what your seed was. I believe you were higher than every single person other than like 3 or 4 of them. And obviously you were one of the top seeds to begin with. So it's a fiery final between these two. It's two people that have really kind of dominated the competition throughout most of it. And, we saw Derek go through Ryan Noonan of Bet Spurts, Brad Thomas, Charlie DeSturco, got out of that group with Brad, took out Andy Lack in the Sweet 16, ended up getting revenge over Brad Thomas, and then took out his Roto Grinders companion in Kyle Murray in the Final Four. And then Byron got through a group of Brian Kirshner, Dan Leach, Dustin Sweetelson, ended up playing Kilkenny in the first round, who was the one who won my group, took out Millie Goats. So Byron, you've taken out my entire group to get to this point. One of the best comeback victories of the entire contest when you took out Millie Goats there. And then a really decisive victory last week over Tambo. You were the high scorer of the contest. So rolling in with some momentum, as I said, $1,500 on the line, a championship belt that is going to definitely be eye-popping once you get it in person. Like 6 pounds is 6 pounds for this belt. And thank you guys for participating, and thank you for everybody who has tuned into this contest. This has been a lot of fun to put together and watch it mature throughout the process of it.
Now, Derek, Noto, I know you don't like being gassed up. I'm going to gas you up for just a minute here. Noto, you're a legend. You know, you were the first podcast I watched on DFS years ago when I got into the space. Widely recognized, people who play DFS know who you are, except for Byron. who thought you were Peter Jennings when you posted about the championship final. Now you guys get to face off for the final. And Derek, how do you feel that Byron didn't even know who you are heading into the championship?
I mean, hey, I'll take the comp. You know, that's a good person to be comp to. So yeah, that's cool with me. You know, and like Michael Jordan in the doc. You know, I took that personally. So now I got some little added motivation.
No, you know, you have cataracts. I've got goataracts. I struggle to distinguish between goats when I'm hanging out with them. So, you know, yeah, we are. But I'm mental picture taken now. I'll never forget what Derek looks like.
Derek is too kind of a person because Byron has no problem talking smack, getting in people's head. Derek's usually one to just give you picks. You know, he's very nice. He's very friendly. I'd like to see them get amped up a little bit here, have a little trash talk because, listen, no, you were the favorite going into the tournament. Here you are where you're supposed to be in the championship matchup. I don't want to see Byron get the trash talking edge over you here because you're the favorite for a reason. So you care.
Listen, I'm like Tim Duncan of trash talking. I watched the interview with Kevin Garnett, and he's like, Tim Duncan would just hit you with the, "Ooh, good try. Ooh, maybe next time." So, yeah, just subtle. Yeah, I'm not a big trash talker. I'm just here, you know, having fun.
Let's go.
Fair enough. For the Tim Duncan of trash talk, that was a good one. That was a good analogy. But we do have the final draft for you all tonight. It's going to be a good one. We will, as we do, in the wheel to determine who is going to get the first pick. I'll start with you, Byron. I'm just going to ask, if it's up to you, where would you be picking tonight?
Yeah, I'll go first. I'll just go first.
That's what you want. You want to be in the first slot. All right. Well, to be determined, the wheel will spin. And, it didn't tend to work out the way. If I ask you, you usually end up getting the win. Byron, you want the first spot? Well, you got it. No, you will be drafting second tonight, but you know what that means. You'll have two in a row. As we pull the draft board up here, Byron, without further ado, in the first ever Golf Madness final, Byron, you got the first pick.
Thank you, Joel. Thank you, Spencer. Noto, congrats on making to the final. Appreciate everything that you guys have done for the show so far. You know, it's been a great watch along. Fantastic personalities on you. Without further ado. I did a show today for an hour 15 with Hillbilly Tommy Fleetwood, per the chat. And I just could not stop staring at him and thinking, you know, Tommy's going back to the place that he's won his only tournament at. He's a guy that likes to go home. He played fantastic at the Open. I feel like Atlanta is now the home he has in the United States. I will take Tommy Fleetwood at a ridiculous price of $9,000. I honestly feel like he's the best value on the board in the elite tier of golfers over there. So glad I got the number one pick. I don't know if Noto was going to go there or not, but your move now, Noto.
A discounted Tommy Fleetwood at $9K at one of the only places he does actually know how to win. Very interesting here. Noto, I guess the question for you before you get your two, would Tommy have been one of the two you would have considered here with your first two picks?
He wasn't on the top of my list, but he's certainly a guy that I don't want to go against. Love rooting for Tommy. And I think in DFS, he's a great play because, you know, bad week last week. I think a lot of people are going to be off of him. So I like the pick a lot. For my first pick, I'm going to go with the guy that helped me get here, Patrick Cantlay, playoff P. Dude loves the playoffs. And, yeah, he led the field 13 strokes tee to green last week, which lapped the field, really. I think Wyndham Clark was second with like 8 strokes tee to green. He just couldn't buy a putt. And the second he got in contention, he did what he does best and hit it in the water. But that's okay. You know, he's not going to do that this week. So I'll take Cantlay as my first pick.
Let me ask you a question really quickly, Noto, because
Joel, are you sitting in a vending machine?
Why?
What's happening? I'm hearing music.
I don't know what happened. Oh, you can hear that? Okay, that's not great.
Okay, no, you're fine. I'm just curious. I don't know if I've had too many vodka lemonades or what, but no, we're good to go. Keep going.
Go ahead, Spence. Sorry, I'm going to fix my situation. Go ahead.
I can hear my girlfriend laughing downstairs now. This has turned into an absolute shit show. But what I was going to ask you, Noto, is if you let's start with Tommy Fleetwood here. I know your model's always a little bit lower on him than mine seems to be, and like I have an outrageous proper, and I did not bet him outright for whatever that's worth. But what is your proper number on Tommy Fleetwood out of curiosity to win this golf tournament? And on the flip side of that, how does that compare to Patrick Cantlay?
Yeah, let me pull it up real quick. I don't have an actual number, but I have percentages. So I have Tommy at 5.1% and Cantlay at 7.9, which does not – I mean, neither one of these guys are great winners, but that's what the model has this week.
Yeah, I mean, I for whatever it's worth, I have Tommy. If to give a number on this, I have him at actually, I'll give an equity to just kind of show it. I have him at 6.95. I have Cantlay at almost 5, and I think it's two of the legitimate top 5 favorites on the board. And we will see how this ends up playing out. But you have one more pick here to be able to round out this turn that you have. Who are you going to take with the next one?
All right, so I have like a lineup in mind. So at this point, I'm just hoping to kind of get the guys that Byron wants to get before he does. I'm going to go Colin Morikawa, coming off of a T4 finish last week. I think he's a great fit for Eastlake, a guy that hits a ton of fairways. I'm definitely looking for guys that are good total drivers of the ball this week, just because if you hit in the rough, the average green regulation rate is 44% here. And he's cheap. He's been a top 7 machine all year, finally playing, 3 tournaments in a row. So I do like Colin Morikawa at 8,100.
Any thoughts on
All
that
right,
pick, Byron?
I fancy Colin on Bent over Bermuda for some reason. That's just how he kind of vibes himself. But again, any given week, the guy can win a golf tournament. So don't count him out. $800 less than Patrick Cantlay. Interesting as well. I'd probably go Colin over Cantlay if I was picking between the two of those guys. Patrick got me to the promised land. He was, the guy I had as well last week, Noto. So we had the same guy that got us to the finals. So that worked out nicely for us. And I'm hoping it doesn't quite happen again this week. I will go with a guy that we spoke about. I was actually just listening to Roto Grinders right before I got on here, just to make sure I knew what was going on. And I kind of like Noto's idea of Sam Burns. He's, got, like you said, fantastic approach play this year. He's having a career year on approach. This is the best he's ever hit his irons. And we know what he can do on Bermuda or Bent. He's great in both. Been fantastic leading into the BMW. Not concerned about one bad week. Hopefully he can keep it rolling here. He's got ridiculous upside, fantastic iron play, great putter, very affordable price tag as well for Sam Burns. So I'll take Sam Burns at his situation. I have bet him as well at 18-1 to win the tournament. And then, like Noto, I will go with who got me to the dance. And it's Russell Henley at $7,500. World number 6, Russell Henley, $7,500, finished second here last year. Noto mentioned there's like a 35-40% drop-off between green regulation rates from the rough versus the fairway. Most accurate driver of the golf ball in the field is on my team now. So maybe the most inaccurate guy is also sitting above him, but that's fine. He's a great putter as well, best iron player in the field almost thing. So got a variety going on here. Russell Henley at $7,500. The moment you click his name, you just have more to spend, and I can't stop clicking his name at these absurd price tags.
Is Russell Henley your number 1 player below 8K in this field?
That's a good question. Below 8K, I would say no, but it's potentially a tie type situation.
Okay.
We'll see. Can't tell you who, but maybe I'll grab him on the way back.
All right. Well, to be determined. Noto, you got 2 here, but we'd love to get your take here on Russell Henley this week.
Yeah, he was going to be my next pick. I was debating him or Colin for the last one because I was like, okay, who is Byron going to want more? I was hoping it was Colin, but yeah, Henley, love him this week. And he's a Georgia guy, lives there, went to Georgia. Great at this course, 2nd and 4th the last 2 years without starting strokes. So definitely wishing he was on my roster. And the Burns pick's great too.
Boom.
I love you,
All right.
man.
Well, your
Gosh,
picks are
such a nice
endorsed.
guy.
That's the Tim Duncan trash talk you're getting there. It's a compliment disguised as a trash talk. No, you got 2. Where you going from here?
All right, so I got to go with mine and Spencer's boy, Siwoo Kim. Not a guy that has played here often, surprisingly, but this is his best year of his career in terms of his consistency. And he's similar to Russell Henley in that he's going to hit a bunch of fairways. He's a really good iron player. My weighted strokes gained approach, he's actually first in this field based on the approach shot distances that I'm looking at this week. So I think, I played him. I think I've had him on every roster maybe in this draft process. So I got to go with Siwoo Kim. Sorry.
You're going to have to show me how to win with Siwoo Kim, because that's something I have not figured out, whether it's a bet or for DraftKings. We're in a spot right now where neither one of you guys can afford Scotty Scheffler. So I asked this question where nothing can be given away. Was Scotty Scheffler a name that either one of you two were considering for this, or did you view it to be too much of a boom or bust outlook with what was underneath him? We'll start with you, Derek.
Yeah, for me, he's so expensive now that it's less about if I like Scheffler and more about what I can do with the rest of my lineup. And I just don't love the 6Ks as much as I did a couple weeks ago. I ended up fading him last week, and thankfully he got hand, mouth, and foot, or else he probably would have won again. But so I don't love the cheap guys, and I really it feels like a ton of guys are underpriced, and he's one of the only guys that feels normally priced.
Same question to you, Byron.
Yeah, I think I have a select few skill sets down in the 6K range that I'm kind of fancying. It's before I watched Roto Grinders, I was preparing for a Scotty Scheffler rebuttal. I needed to know, okay, if Noto goes with Scotty, am I go 2 or 3 of my favorite 6K guys and hope that he's gonna get sniped by me, and then build my lineup balanced with the other guys that I was going to do, but that's not going to happen now. So I was very much contemplating, because I'm quite comfortable with some of the guys in the 6K range. So the safety of Scotty's health didn't quite lean me into that avenue for this particular contest versus a head-to-head, but in a GPP with a couple thousand people, I'm cool rolling a couple 3 6K guys out there, and we can chat about them maybe as I click a couple here in the next little bit. But I'm in on Scotty. You've got such a small group of 6K guys to click from, and they're all freaking good at golf, So I think this week, variability is so out there. There's some guys that have given up already. There's some guys that are at the bottom of the chain that are going to have a great week. We don't even know how that's going to work out. So embrace the variability. It's only 30 guys. Me and Noto are drafting half the field tonight.
Yeah,
I think having a guaranteed 4 days helps too, where you can take a shot more on the lower tier because you're going to have 4 days of scoring either way.
I think a head-to-head changes it marginally just from a game theory standpoint. I would understand it more for this. I don't know. I mean, if I was in this spot, I don't know what I would have done. Part of me kind of says I would have gone balls to the wall and taken Scotty and kind of tried to construct that 6,000. But Byron said it best with his answer that he just talked about, because of that game theory route to begin with. If some of those $6,000 options are off the board, if you lose 1 or 2 of them, it starts getting really thin very quickly. And if you don't end up getting that name for any particular reason, the lineup kind of goes south on you. So I don't know, just a genuine question that I was curious about to what everybody thought. But you got one more here, Noto, here at the 401.
All right, I'm going to go with the guy that just seems way underpriced. Matt Fitzpatrick he's a 9K, 10K player every week, and now he's 7,800. He hasn't played here all that well. I mean, his last 2 starts here, 13th and 16th, if you take out the starting strokes. But I mean, he's a great fit on course. Fairways, approach play, around the green, he's been excellent. number one Bermuda putter over the last 2 years in this field as well. And I think he still has an outside shot of winning Player of the Year if he could win this week.
I love that pick. I think that's one of the best values on the board. That's even somebody, not that it matters as much for this show, but that's kind of somebody I was talking about that pairs really well with Scotty Scheffler for the price. And you said it best, Noto. I don't know how we got here from he was a upper $9,000 golfer to now all of a sudden we're at 7,800 with a real chance to be Player of the Year if he pulls this off. I think this price is egregious in every sense of the word. And look, we have 7 picks that have been made so far, and I believe every single selection inside of my model is inside of the top 10. So we'll see if Byron can continue it right now, but I think you guys are off to a very hot start with what you've done.
Well, I will add that was perfect timing.
That was Matt Fitzpatrick was my other guy. That's
what I was gonna say, because the 2 guys I had in mind when I asked that question were Siwoo Kim and Matt Fitzpatrick. Are the guys that you basically had Russell Henley?
Yeah, I've got Henley with an A as value. I've got Matt Fitzpatrick as an A for value, and I got Siwoo Kim as a B. And then you got to go way down the board to find some other A's. So in the 6K range for me. So. Love Noto's team. Just a bunch of snipers, just a bunch of absolute snipers. But Fitzy he's concerning me because I've had to take him now. I had 2 lineups that I was rolling with. Now I'm pivoting off of the Fitz one because I was going to go there. I was concerned because I don't know if he's taken his foot off the gas. Granted, 1 good hole on the 18th at the St. Jude, and he's like 4th or something. So it would have had a much better tournament there, but finished 12th with a double, which got me into this contest. Shout out Matt Fitzpatrick. And was that my guy? I think I had Fitzy. I can't even remember. But either way, here's my dude. I will be rolling him out in lineups this week for sure. Moving to my next pick. It's going to be, I'll just go to the top of the board here. I'm going to go with Rory. I think he's found his groove, played fantastic golf last week. This is a variation of a Scotty Scheffler lineup for me. So it's gonna now have 2 6K guys, and I'll give Noto a heads up. I don't even know if he's going 6K with the way he's building his goddamn thrift ass lineup over there. Just freaking Macklebore City. There's not even a 9K option that he's chosen yet in the first 4 picks. So. Right? Yeah. So it's all balanced for Noto. I don't think, unless he's just going to randomly pull out some random situation. Yeah, I think Rory, he's looking for his 4th playoff victory. I mean, that would double Tiger Woods, who's got the second most. He's very comfortable around this golf course and just finished basically runner-up. He tripped all over himself down the stretch. So I think he's found his groove. He hates FedEx St. Jude. He hates that tournament. I think the new playoff system for him is going to be way more exciting. So we'll see Rory in the playoffs playing match play. Let's go. And then I'm going to go with a guy by the name of Alex Smalley. He, in my opinion, is one of my favorite plays this week. He's A for value, $6,300. He's just steady Eddie. He's hopefully just going to finish inside the top half of this field as the 4th cheapest option in the field. I'm cool with that. In this kind of format, I've got Rory, I've got Tommy, I've got Burns, I've got Henley. Smalley is just got all the big dogs. I've got the small dog down there, and we are rocking and rolling. So I'm all in on Alex Smalley this week at $6,300.
A lot of money left on the board for you, Derek. I guess my first question for you would be, we just saw Byron spend a lot of his with Rory McIlroy at 11,000. What are your takes on Rory this week? I know he's very divisive in the space.
Yeah, Rory's a guy that doesn't project well for me, but he's like Byron mentioned, he loves East Lake. I will say his course history has been, a little mediocre. He wins or finishes outside the top 10 if you don't count the starting strokes. But I mean, after he played well last week, I wasn't on him last week whatsoever. And he's just talking about his rust, and I was like, hey, no way he's going to contend. And then Sunday, I thought he was going to, catch Clark. So I like the pick. Obviously, it's a great way to anchor your lineup. I do think he has, more win equity in his squad than I do. And I'm kind of building the high floor type of lineup.
Well, you have 2 picks here to be able to round this out. You have 87.50 left for those 2 selections. As Byron has said, you have not even entered the $9,000 range yet. Are one of these picks, I assume, going to reach there, or are you going to leave a little bit left on the table and just go all 8,000s here?
I'm going to go with Xander Schauffele, a guy that mediocre form coming in. But the ball striking's been good. It's just been around the green that he's been struggling with. He's a guy that absolutely loves East Lake. For the longest time, I would bet him on the shadow leaderboard because I knew he wasn't going to win the Tour Championship, but I knew if he wasn't in contention, he was going to be a good bet to finish in the top 72 hole score. And I don't know. I think he just has really good floor. And he's best friends with Cantlay. They're gonna feed off each other here.
You have one more.
You're going for the teamwork, very San Antonio Spurs-esque of you, getting guys with a good. I get it. No, I get it. You guys got a good kind of locker room camaraderie to kind of carry you guys to the championship. I like that, but you still got one more here at 7,500 to round out the squad.
Okay, so this is not that anybody's going to be copying this, but this is going to be my main lineup this week. Other than Henley's going to be that last piece for me. I'll be like cheering for him a little bit, but not a ton this week. Anyway, so I would have picked Henley here, but I'm going to pick Victor Hovland instead. 7,300 for Hovland just feels way too cheap. Good ball striker. Obviously, he's been very hit or miss this year, but he likes East Lake as well. 12th, 8th, 1st, 15th, 4th in terms of his 72-hole scores here the last 5 years. So that will be my final pick.
Let me ask you a quick question on this. I know you said that if you had the chance, you would have taken Henley there in this spot. How much ahead of Hovland do you have Henley? If you played 10 lineups in the same 5, I guess obviously you wouldn't do the exact same lineup, but how many would you have put Henley versus Hovland?
I would probably go 7 Henley, 3
Okay.
Hovland. They rate out as 2 of the best 5 values for me. Henley's number 1. Hovland's 15th overall in my model. Henley's 5th. So he's up there this week.
But I mean, you could go 7-5 because of Henley's price. That's just the thing. It's like just put anyone with him all the time.
Yep.
It's all right. Well, I guess before we move off the Henley conversation, I wonder if any of you guys what are you guys seeing in terms of ownership for Russell Henley this week? Does it look pretty high? Or is he not significantly higher than the other guys that we already talked about in the 7K range, like Siwoo, Fitzpatrick, and Hovland?
I have the question was Henley, correct, Joel?
Correct.
I have him at like 25%, which would be the 7th highest owned player.
7th, but in this field, that's not that crazy because there's
No.
only 30 golfers, so that's really not that high. I mean, in a full field, that's really high, but in this field, it's really not.
I mean, I have Henley 7th in my model. I have Hovland about where Noto had him also. And I mean, if you look at the Henley number, that's about what proper is like kind of ranging to be. So to your point, I don't think it's some egregious thing in a 30-man field. He's kind of proper across the board with ownership there and a little bit of value at the price tag at 75.
Yeah. I mean, there's a world where maybe 3 guys are sub 10% ownership this week. So, if we're talking about that's 10% of the field, that's the crazy part of this whole conversation. When I realized that the championship game was, I was hoping it would be the good tournament at the end of the year. So I could just like come running in and just, I've got the shoulder charge edge over Noto for sure. So I was hoping, I could potentially take advantage of that. But, you got to find ways to get different, especially Noto or Spence, I'm curious about like contest selection this week. Are we like rolling stuff out or are we dialing it back? It's a really interesting week with 30 guys.
You can take it first, Derek.
Yeah, I'm playing lighter than usual. And I mean, especially when we had the starting strokes, this was just a brutal tournament for betting and DFS. So I like that they got away with that, but still, it's going to be so volatile. And like, even if you're cashing top 5% heading into Sunday, you could not cash at all just because it's going to be so much movement. And I don't know. So I'm dialing back a little bit.
Yeah, I would give a very similar answer. I like my betting cards in general are not going to be quite as exposed, but I will say this, like if I am willing to take spots where we can remove chalky options, and this is what you have to do if you're playing in a 30-man contest, but like I see multiple names on the board that are 20% plus owned that like I'm fine with this 0% ownership and kind of just picking and choosing my player pool that I want to be around. And we can talk about it when it's done and it's officially over on the show of like maybe where we are higher on some of these names or lower on some of them. And it might be a good way to end this show. But I think in general, any single time that you have a no-cut tournament, specifically with 30 players, and you have for DFS a lack of ability to differentiate builds, it's always more complicated. Like that's my number one gripe for these events every single go around.
It's a weird situation, man. It's so weird because we were checking out the optimal lineups and the sweet spots and the GPP winners. They all were like 49.5 and above. So like leaving money on the table doesn't necessarily work out the greatest if you're trying to crush. But I think this week maybe, $200 for Noto. I'm going to leave $200 as well. It's just it's weird, man. And it's the third year of this non-staggered stuff. So we don't really have a true feeling for how this tournament's DNA really has unfolded. And it's only going to last one more year. And then we get like some of the best playoff golf we'll likely get, Shout out Brian Rolap, doing great things for the PGA Tour.
I'm just going to give a really quick answer. Not that it matters where they sit in my model, but like the one thing when I look at the draft right now, and I'll leave one of the players nameless, we'll circle back to it at the end. But if you look at like who are the spots in my model where I want to be leveraged much higher than consensus for DFS contests, and I understand we're talking about like 20% owned guys here where I would like to get substantially above that. It's all the names that have been taken so far from Byron and Noto. It's Fleetwood, it's Fitzpatrick, it's Siwoo Kim, it's Xander, it's Burns. It's the one other name that I haven't mentioned from that list. But you watch two of the sharper people in the entire industry, and those are, 4 or 5 of the names that have been mentioned on this show. Like you start understanding that with everybody's knowledge and people like Byron and Noto that are kind of giving the same answers that I'm giving on this, like ownership ends up ramping up. And I think that's where it just makes edges so much more difficult, where you really have to draw a line in the sand and be very, very aggressive, or kind of just completely dial it back, ramp it back, as Noto said, and you just don't make very many builds and you just move on the next week. But if you're going to play, you need to be very concrete and solidified in decisions. Like I would be very aggressive with any move I did make if I'm going to play.
And I'll leave you with, Noto kind of said this when he was talking about this tournament. It's going to be when you're playing this week, everyone is going to be pretty much in it until Sunday afternoon. Because the whole leaderboard could flip on a Sunday because of how small this field is. So it's fun from that angle, but also it's going to be a little bit like if you're in first place on Thursday, that means almost nothing because everything can change in an hour's notice with how small this field is. So it's good that you'll always be alive, but it's bad that anything can really happen. A lot of volatility this week. Byron, 7K left for your last pick. How you rounding out the squad?
I really like Jacob Bridgman this week, but not nearly as much as I like Justin Rose, but not nearly as much as I like Minwoo Lee either, or Gary Woodland. So I'm actually just going to land up going with Tom Kim at $6,800. I think Tom, I got an A for value this week. He's playing that strokes gain 1.2 there, Joel, is really impressive. That we saw there on the little graphic that you have built. Look at this, by the way. Just shout out Joel throwing this together for the Draftcast, King of the Draft, and got some awesome looking graphics going on here for us. So Tom Kim, doing wonderful things. They're gaining 1.2 strokes on the field, playing some fantastic golf right now. Rotogrinder's podcast mentioned fairway finding percentage, got to hit lots of greens regulations. Tom Kim finds fairways, and he is in fuego with the irons right now. $6,800 option. Lord only knows where the ball goes once he hits it with the putter. So we'll see what happens there. But lots to be desired on the Tom Kim side there. Fancy my lineup. If I went with Scotty, I had a Scotty lineup that I think I had a Scotty, Tommy, Matt Fitzpatrick or Russell Henley lineup with Adam Scott, Alex Smalley, and Christopher Wrighton would have been my Scotty lineup if I went with the Scotty route. But the Gary Woodland situation, he's playing so good golf right now. There's two guys that I'm like concerned about for like health injury stuff. It's Gary and Scotty. The hand stuff, like I've seen so many dads chiming in on this hand, foot, and mouth this week on Twitter. It's a monstrous thing to overcome. But if there's anyone equipped to overcome it, it's the world's best golfer who won like $25 million last year. So I'm sure he's got the best doctors touching hands, feet, and mouth there. So
I would argue that golf is probably one of the worst sports to play with hand, foot, and mouth because it would probably affect your grip on the club, which is obviously super meaningful in a major golf tournament. Whereas you could probably fight through it in like a basketball game or a football game where that wouldn't be as relevant. But that grip could be affected because your hand is messed up. So that could be an issue.
Yeah,
it took 12 holes for Scotty Scheffler to gain strokes on Thursday on approach. He didn't gain on approach for 12 holes on Thursday. Like, this is the best golfer in the world, man. Like, it messed him up, so...
I mean, we saw him a week before. What did he win by a zillion strokes?
I know.
Something changed. So
I'm tempted.
That is certainly a fair point. Before we get off this draft, smash the like button. Give us a follow. It goes a long way. We are going to crown a champion after this week. There will be a king of the draft. Spence, we're going to want to get your take on what you think your model would pick based on these two drafts. But before we get to that, I want to get one thing from I know Spence. Byron, you kind of gave us a little bit of a tease of what your answer will be. But I want to ask everyone quickly, who are you most surprised did not get drafted in this draft? I'm going to start, someone you mentioned, Byron. I love Gary Woodland. I think Gary Woodland has been just playing great. I thought he would have gone in this draft. He's one of my favorite value plays, just the way he's playing. He's someone I'm looking to roster for sure. Byron, we'll go to you next. Who are you surprised didn't go?
Yeah, just couldn't afford a Gary WD in a situation like this for whatever. There's a lot of risk associated with his condition, so I just in such a high stakes environment. Noto, so this is like chump change for Noto. I'm just out here like trying to like survive. I had to drink like multiple vodka lemonades before the show to try and just stay calm. So who I'm surprised did not go was, Ludwig and Wyndham Clark, both at 97, 94. Seem like, Wyndham is playing some fantastic golf right now. And he's $9,400, but again, a great bent cross putter versus Bermuda typically. That can change any given week. We know how putting is, we know how golf is in general, but I think that he's the new Patrick Reed. He is. He literally is. He's one of the most unlikable guys. Like every interview he's done post-win, I've just like wanted to rather chew razor blades instead than listen to that. He's just so unself-aware. It's absurd. So, fair. Wyndham Clark.
And Wyndham, the way obviously he's playing great. Obviously, he was amazing last week. I think that's a pretty good pick there. How about you, Spence?
Look, it's a two-man draft, and you either go Scotty or you don't go Scotty. I'm not necessarily surprised that Scotty wasn't taken, but if I was to give an answer, I would say I'm the most surprised that Scotty wasn't taken because Byron did a pretty good job of just discussing what a lineup could possibly look like with him. It's very easy to put Scotty with Fitz, and you get Tom Kim, which that is the unnamed golfer that I had not mentioned. That was one of the guys that I wanted to be over leveraged too. He was actually the best value that I had in my model for DFS contests. Number 2 is Matthew Fitzpatrick, who Noto took. So it's kind of this really haymakers from both of them that we saw. And I think this contest is going to be decided by one thing to kind of just flip it back to the contest really quickly, Joel. I am very low on Rory McIlroy. If Byron and the market are correct, because Rory's a substantial favorite against Xander Schauffele. He's moving in a positive direction, and a lot of sharp money is hitting on Rory McIlroy. My model does not see that to be the case, but if Byron is correct with that, to answer the original question for you, I would assume my model is going to favor Noto's just because he went 6 value names that my model wants to play in all 6 spots. And Byron went 5 of 6 because I'm not on Rory this week. But there's something to be said. Rory's minus 135 at one of the sharpest books in the world against Xander Schauffele, a golfer that I bet to win this golf tournament. I thought was 11-1 as proper. And Rory is still sharp in those markets. So like, I think that that's going to be what ends up deciding this at the end of the day. If Byron's correct, he may be the winner of this. If he's not, I think Noto probably takes this down. But that's the most interesting thing for me to see how this plays out. Yeah, but Scotty would be the first answer, who I'm the most surprised about.
Rory being the wild card this week would make it interesting. Noto, would love to hear from you. Who are you most surprised didn't go in this draft?
Yeah, it's Wyndham Clark for me. I'm glad Byron didn't take him because I never get the guy right, and I hate going against him. I played him like twice this year, missed the cut both times. So, I can't hop on now, but the dude just when he's on, he's scary. So he's the guy that, I'm glad didn't get taken.
And Wyndham's proving he's like the opposite of Tommy Fleetwood. When the pressure gets on, he plays better. I mean, when the pressure's on, I think, it's time for Wyndham to crumble. He does. He starts draining putts all over the golf course and hitting his best iron shot. So Wyndham is definitely one fun watch while he is in contention. That's a wrap for the King of the Draft Championship. It's going to be a ton to follow along. Of course, as always, Spencer will post the updates throughout the week, post the lineups. Let us know who you think is going to win. Follow along, see where they are. We will crown a champion at the end. Before we get you guys out of here, Byron, I would love to hear from you. Please tell everyone where they can find you this week and what's your favorite bet of the week.
Okay, so I've been doing at the Model Maniac. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me the Model Maniac Patreon. You can find me at Mayo Media. I do Back 9 Bets. I do Fantasy Golf Degenerates. And you can find me on Back 9 Bets YouTube, where we do a Sunday night preview/review with me and Eric Darbo, Sweet Spot DFS. We just hang out and dive deep into the weeds. We spend, I think our shortest show is like 90 minutes so far this year. So we just love hanging out on a Sunday night, once the kids are in bed, Joel, the drill. And we just enjoy having a good time on camera. So it's been a fun time doing that. Working on some new tools, as I was showing you before the show. Shared that on my stream with Keith Fleming today when we did some hacking it in Hollywood for Sopranos. Took some golfers and we thought, who can we put from the Sopranos cast and throw them as a golfer? Because it was a really fun show as well. Keith was very involved there on that side of things. Shout out Retail Ripper as well. Winning score is going to be minus 20 this week. Scotty Scheffler. That's just what he does, if that's the case. I know, Noto, I was sitting from afar 2 weeks ago and you're like, Scotty Scheffler, minus 170, I think you said top 10 or minus 150 or something. And I was like, that's my boy. I am a placement guy. That's my thing. We recapped on Fantasy Golf Degenerates on Mayo Media, where Kenny's had a fantastic outright season and I've crushed in the placement side. So if you just listen to Kenny's outrights and my placements, that is the podcast for you. So I saw Noto say minus 150 or what was the actual number, Noto? I'm keep misquoting you.
Yeah, I think it's minus 180, but
minus 180. The bigger the better, because I love it when you just lay the juice on a bet that, obviously you won by 180 yards, it was insane. It was a really dominating performance. And I came on afterwards and said I was really fancying that Scotty Scheffler top 5. So just leaning into the placement side of things has been a really fun time to completely go off on a tangent there. But I've had a good time on the show. If this is the last one, I've actually contacted the landlord. We are renting, so I need to make sure I can legally hang a 6-pound belt above my head. I don't know what the liability is for that, but if I do, on the very off chance, win this contest, that belt will be part of the new studio, like 1,000%. Want to thank you, Joel, Spencer. You guys have this has been awesome, man. It's been obviously way more awesome for me and Derek. Keep cruising through each stage. But I think for the viewers, I think for everyone that joined you guys and participated in this, it's been a fantastic time. And the talent and the knowledge and the entertainment in this industry it's truly special. So the golf place and the golf space with Brian Rolap taking us to the promised land. If you aren't following any golf content and things, now is the time, friends. So we really appreciate all of you guys.
I promise you, if you follow both Noto and Byron, you will be making more money. These are two of the best follows in the space. It is definitely worth your time. If you watch
Tommy,
the show, you probably already do, but in case you don't, make sure you get on there. Go ahead, Byron.
Tommy Fleetwood, top 5 plus 300. I've been doing the Sports Illustrated panel, and I'm down 2.9 units. So if Tommy top 5s this week, I can claim a Tommy victory. I was profitable in 2026 on the panel in the props column, and it would be a 0.1 unit victory. And I will celebrate that as if I'd won 100, because picking one prop per week is diabolical. So I need a Tommy plus 300. It's highest paid in full at Bet Rivers. You can go grab that there. Give me that Tommy Fleetwood plus 300, top 5.
I also have a fun fact for you, Byron. Before we move off, you said you're talking about The Sopranos, and I don't think I've said this on the show ever, so I'll let you guys know. Uncle Junior's doctor on The Sopranos is Dr. Schreck, and yes, that is named after my uncle. I will tell you for the story for another day, but yes, that is related me on The Sopranos. So there you have it. Noto, before we get you out of here, please tell us, where can we find you?
What a great fun fact. I wish I had one of those. But like Byron said, we appreciate you guys doing this so much. It's been a lot of fun. I didn't expect to have so much fun doing this and meeting new people, and just getting to know you guys better. So appreciate you guys having me on. You can find me at Roto Grinders. All my stuff's there every week. Do a little bit for Action Network and Scores and Odds as well, but mostly at Roto Grinders. Twitter is at RG_Notorious. And that's pretty much it. Favorite bet of the week. I've had very little luck with outright, so I'm not going to give you an outright. I'm going to go a little bit of a hedge here. I'll go Russell Henley, top 5 at plus 470.
Plus 4 cents, a good number. I like it. And we've been talking a lot about Russell Henley on the show. I like how we wrapped it up with a bet of the week. Like we said, these two are two of the best to do it. If you're not already, smash the like button. Give both of them a follow. You will certainly increase your bankroll by doing so. Spence, favorite bet of the week.
I think all the matchups I have are very close. I'm going to kind of walk down the same line of what Byron talked about with the Tommy Fleetwood bet here. I am not as high on Oberg as Byron kind of talked about, of being surprised that he wasn't drafted. I'm full fading Oberg this week. And I think Tommy Fleetwood, it opened at plus 100. It's up to minus 115 now. I think 115 is still value on that price. I'm going to say Tommy Fleetwood minus 115 over Oberg as my favorite bet. And then I'll share a little fun fact before we get out of here. So you guys were talking about hand, foot, and mouth disease that Scotty had. And I don't have kids. Apparently, I'm a child myself that went to an arcade and must have had my hands in my mouth or something. And I ended up getting hand, foot, and mouth disease. And it is the most brutal, nasty thing. Like, it was worse than when I had COVID. I was down for the count. I had blisters in my throat. I had blisters in my hand. I ended up getting strep throat on top of that. I thought I wasn't going to make it. It was the sickest I've ever been. So it's like kind of kudos to Scotty Scheffler that he even played through that, because I don't know how he did it. And I think it's a nice bounce back spot if he is feeling better this week. But that is one of the most brutal things for anybody who has experienced that.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Props to Scotty. He toughed it out. I think if he's recovered, he should be fine. Result. Spence.
No, thank you for everybody who's tuned in. Thank you to LeverBet for supporting this contest. I will be in contact with the winner to send the funds when you guys do win, and the belt will be sent directly to your house. So I'll need to get some contact information. So that's something we'll circle back around to on Sunday. And my hope is, and I'll talk to LeverBet about it, I would love for them to continue to sponsor this contest moving forward. I hope, Joel, you and I can get this thing back up and running again and get even more money on the line. And my ultimate goal for this is it's not a winner take all, and we can put this in a spot where there's 64 plus people and maybe 8 people cash. And that's something that we're working on, and it's something that we continue to work on behind the scenes. And for anybody out there who does tune into the show, a lot of people have asked about betting on this contest, and I've been the house, and Byron wrecked me last week when he beat Tambo, and I lost $120 because of that. But I would love to find a Bet Online or a Kalshi or a Novig or somebody that can partner with this to kind of actually put lines up to this, because I would have loved to have seen what Derek would have actually been favored at in the contest and what number they would have put. And I think my price that was proper, I'd have to go back and look, but I think it was like 6 or 7 to 1 or 5 to 1 or whatever the number ended up being. But I mean, that's as high as my model got with it, but it's credit to these two. These are two of the best in the industry, as you talked about. And couldn't really have asked for a better star-studded finish. So thank you for everybody out there who has tuned into the show through the entire duration of this contest.
Couldn't have made this happen without LeverBet. They were a great sponsor, a great site. Definitely go check them out. We thank them a ton. Good luck, fellas. We're going to crown a first ever inaugural King of the Draft. One of the two of you will be it. Make sure you follow along. Spencer will post the scores throughout the week as we go. Follow along before we crown the champion